Did you know you could be losing money every year in retirement, even if your income keeps going up? Most people blame inflation, but there's actually a hidden tax quietly draining your savings and making you poor. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how this stealth tax works and the simple moves you can make right now to protect your money without losing so much to taxes. To start, I need to show you how retirees are getting poorer every year, even as their income keeps growing. This chart here, using data directly from the Social Security website, shows the growth of Social Security benefits over time. Every year, retirees receive a cost of living adjustment to keep up with rising prices. And if you started receiving a benefit of $1,500 per month 20 years ago, that benefit would have grown to over $2,500 per month today. So if your monthly benefit would have almost doubled in the last 20 years, and the cost of living adjustment is calculated to directly match inflation, how could you be getting poorer every year? Well, this next chart, also pulled from the Social Security website, shows the federal taxes collected on Social Security over time. And sure, you might expect those taxes to have gone up over time like everything else. But when we put the chart showing the increase in benefits next to the chart showing the increase in taxes, they look completely different. Over the last 20 years, the increase in Social Security benefits for retirees has been about 67%. But in that same period, the amount the government collects each year in taxes has gone from about $15 billion to nearly $60 billion, or an increase of about 400%. So although the increase in benefits has grown modestly, the amount the government collects in taxes has absolutely exploded in a way that can't be explained by inflation alone. But before I can show you how you can protect yourself, I need to show you what this tax is and how the government is getting away with it. Back in the early 80s, Social Security was facing a crisis. The trust fund used by the government to help fund benefits was nearly out of money. So to prevent the program from going broke, they signed a bill that saved Social Security. But with this new bill came one small change. In the beginning of the stealth tax that's making so many retirees poorer today. Up until this point, Social Security benefits had been tax-free for all retirees. But starting in 1984, this was no longer the case. Couples who had total income over $32,000 would now be taxed on up to 50% of their benefit. And in today's dollars, that might sound like a big deal, but here's what it looked like at the time. Back in 1984, the average wage index, which is basically the average salary someone earned in the US, was about $16,000. So the only retirees who would pay tax on their benefits were those with income of double what the average person was earning. And at that time, this was only 8% of people receiving Social Security. So it didn't affect most people and didn't seem like much of a problem. But shortly after, the government took another step towards stealing more of retirees' money. 10 years later, they added another new Social Security law. And now, retirees with income over $44,000 will be taxed on up to 85% of benefits. But this change still only affected the wealthiest retirees. So how are a few changes from decades ago making retirees poorer every year, and what do they mean for your retirement? On this chart here, the green line shows the average wage index going all the way back to when the government first started taxing Social Security in 1984. Over this period, the average wage index has gone from about $16,000 in 1984 to nearly $70,000 today. But these red brackets show the thresholds where Social Security becomes taxable. Wages and cost of living have skyrocketed, but the levels where Social Security becomes taxable are exactly the same as they were in 1984. So every year, more retirees are losing their Social Security check to taxes, and this means their income isn't actually keeping up with inflation, and they're getting poorer every year. And while only 8% of retirees paid taxes on their benefits back then, the government knew what they were doing. Today, that number is now over 50% and is growing every year. This stealth tax took the program that was originally intended to protect retirees from poverty and turned it into a cash cow for the government. But as bad as the stealth tax is, it doesn't have to chip away at your retirement income. There are 3 strategies that you can use to keep more of your benefit working for your retirement instead of giving it to the government. And the first strategy isn't one that everyone should use, but for the right person, it can lead to keeping tens of thousands more of your benefits. Let's say you're deciding when to claim Social Security. If you wait until your full retirement age of 67, you'd get $3,000 a month. But if you took it early at 62, you'd get $2,100 a month. Most retirees would look at a break-even calculator, try and guess how long they'd live, and make a decision. But when you factor in the stealth tax, the math completely changes. Let's say even though your benefit will be smaller, claiming early helps you keep your Social Security tax-free. If your benefit was $2,100 per month, you'd receive the full $2,100. But instead, What if you waited until 67 and got the larger benefit, but that made your Social Security 85% taxable? On a $3,000 benefit, 15% or $450 would be tax-free, and 85% or $2,550 would be taxable. If you paid taxes at the 22% bracket, that $2,550 shrinks down to $1,989. And when you add it up, you'd only receive a monthly benefit of $2,439 after taxes. So in this situation, waiting to claim would mean saying no to over $100,000 in benefits from age 62 to age 67 for an extra $300 a month later on. And that's the first strategy. Claiming Social Security early might not be best for everyone, but for some, it can help you avoid the stealth tax and keep thousands more of your benefit. Now, the second strategy is using an income source the IRS completely ignores when deciding if your Social Security gets taxed. And most retirees think the only way to do this is to take money out of a Roth IRA. But there's actually a hidden loophole that can help you keep more of your money and save on taxes. Let's say for the first 10 years of retirement, you spend $5,000 each year on medical expenses. If you have money in a health savings account or HSA, you might think this is the perfect time to take that money out tax-free and use it to cover your medical expenses. But instead of this, you might want to consider not using your HSA money and using money from other sources. Fast forward to later in your retirement. You need money to take a trip. If your income gets too high, just one extra withdrawal can make your Social Security benefits become taxable, causing thousands in unnecessary taxes. But here's what many retirees don't realize. If you didn't use HSA money for those medical expenses earlier in retirement, you can take that money for the trip from your HSA instead. You can use HSA money to reimburse yourself for medical expenses that happened years earlier. So even if you already paid for those medical costs years ago, you can leave that money in your HSA to keep growing and reimburse yourself with it tax-free later, regardless of what you spend it on. And that's strategy number 2 to avoid the stealth tax, leveraging health savings account withdrawals. By waiting until later on to reimburse yourself for medical expenses, you can use these like a get-out-of-jail-free card to avoid paying too much in taxes. But instead of reimbursing yourself, you can actually give money to others and save on taxes using strategy number 3. In retirement, you can donate money directly to charity from your IRAs, and it doesn't count as income. And this is a great strategy, but the problem is it's not allowed until you turn 70 and a half. So when you're in your 60s, you need another way to reduce your income and avoid the stealth tax. But you can actually still get a deduction for donating to charity using a different strategy. Let's say you're planning to give $10,000 a year to charity for the next 5 years. Many retirees donating this amount still take the standard deduction when they file their taxes, and they don't receive any tax benefits for these gifts. But doing this misses out on the chance to get a massive tax deduction. Instead of giving that money each year directly to charity, you contribute all 5 years up front to what's called a donor-advised fund. Once you contribute, the fund gives the money to a charity of your choice. This can give you a big tax deduction for the money you would be giving to charity anyways, and lets you split up the gifting from the fund to charity over time. So the third strategy is bunching your charitable giving in 1 year and utilizing a donor-advised fund. This can allow you to give the same amount you already planned to charity and receive a tax benefit too. Now you might be thinking that I left out one of the most powerful strategies, which is using Roth conversions. But even though they sound like a good strategy, there are new tax laws and data making smart retirees avoid them. So if you want to see whether Roth conversions are still a good idea for you in 2026, check out this next video.